History is filled with battles that have shaped the world. Think of World War II, which brought an end to Hitler's ambitions of global domination, or the Roman conquests, which spread Christianity and laid the foundation for Roman Catholic culture across continents. But there's another battle, equally monumental, that often doesn't get the attention it deserves. Let's rewind the clock to one of the most pivotal events in world history, the Fall of Constantinople in 1453, which stands as one of the most important events in world history. On May 29th, Sultan Mehmed II of the Ottoman Empire conquered the city after an intense 55-day siege. Using massive cannons to smash through Constantinople's legendary walls, the Ottomans surrounded the city by land and sea. This war marked the end of the Byzantine Empire, which had been a supporter of Christian civilization for over 1,000 years, and would cause a shift in power that would shape European and Middle Eastern history for centuries. But what made this event so significant? How did the fall of this great city influence trade, politics, and the cultural landscape of two continents? Grab your favorite snack, settle in, and get ready, because this story is nothing short of epic. First off, let's talk about Constantinople itself. It wasn't just any city, it was the city. Founded by Emperor Constantine the Great in 330 AD, it became the capital of the Byzantine Empire and a critical link between Europe and Asia. Constantinople's strategic location along the Bosporus Strait made it a hub for trade and culture. People from all over the world, Greeks, Turks, Persians, Italians, came here to exchange goods, ideas, and stories. But Constantinople was more than just a trading hotspot. It was known for its walls, which were at the time legendary. Built under Emperor Theodosius II, these massive fortifications had repelled countless attacks over the centuries. The city was like a fortress surrounded by walls so thick and high that no one thought they could ever be breached. But by 1453, the Byzantine Empire wasn't what it used to be. It was a shadow of its former glory. By the mid-15th century, the Byzantine Empire had been reduced to little more than Constantinople and the surrounding lands to its west, following relentless struggles for dominance with Balkan neighbors and Roman Catholic rivals. The city itself had endured multiple devastating sieges, causing its population to plummet from approximately 400,000 in the 12th century to just 40 to 50,000 by the 1450s. Within Constantinople's formidable walls, much of the land had turned into vast empty fields. Relations with the rest of Europe had also deteriorated over the centuries. The Schism of 1054 and the Latin occupation of Constantinople in the 13th century had fostered deep animosity between the Orthodox Byzantines and Roman Catholic Europe. Even so, there remained a strong shared understanding that maintaining Byzantine control of Constantinople was critical to preventing Muslim dominance over the land and seas of the Eastern Mediterranean. Now let's talk about the Ottomans for a second. These guys were not messing around. They were a force to be reckoned with, expanding their territory rapidly and developing a reputation for being unstoppable. Unlike the Byzantines, the Ottoman Turks had steadily expanded their control, dominating nearly all of the Balkans and much of Anatolia. By the latter half of the 14th century, they had captured several Byzantine cities west of Constantinople, and the city itself had become an Ottoman vassal. On land, Hungary posed the greatest European threat to Ottoman power, while Venice and Genoa controlled much of the Aegean and Black Seas. Sultan Murad II attempted to capture Constantinople in 1422, but was forced to abandon the siege to address a rebellion elsewhere in his empire. In 1444, he suffered a significant defeat at the hands of a Christian alliance in the Balkans and temporarily abdicated the throne to his son, Mehmed II. However, after regrouping and defeating the Christian forces, Murad returned to power in 1446 and remained Sultan until his death in 1451. Sultan for the second time, Mehmed II was a young and ambitious leader who was eager to fulfill his father's big dream. Take Constantinople. At just 21 years old, Mehmed wasn't an average ruler, especially considering his age. He was ambitious, determined, and ready to make his mark on history. For the Ottomans, Constantinople was the ultimate prize. Capturing it would give them control over trade routes and solidify their dominance in the region. Now, Mehmed wasn't just relying on brute force. He was thinking ahead. He knew the city's walls were practically impenetrable by traditional means. So, he brought in a secret weapon: gunpowder artillery. In April 1453, Mehmed made his move. He assembled an enormous army. We're talking somewhere between 60,000 and 80,000 soldiers. Some accounts even suggest it was more. Facing them was the Byzantine Emperor Constantine XI and his defenders, a much smaller force of around 7,000 to 10,000 men. But don't underestimate them. These guys were tough, and they had something the Ottomans didn't: the legendary walls of Constantinople. Let's throw in more emphasis on how formidable the walls of Constantinople were. They were this massive triple-layered system that had stood for over 1,000 years, built with layers upon layers of stone, moats, and towers, all designed to keep enemies out. It's no wonder they were called the strongest fortifications in the medieval world. The land walls spanned 4 miles and consisted of a double line of ramparts with a moat on the outside. The higher of the two stood as high as 40 feet, with a base as much as 16 feet thick. These walls had never been breached in the 1,000 years since their construction. Mehmed wasn't just relying on brute force to break these walls. He was thinking ahead. He knew the city's walls were practically impenetrable by traditional means. So he brought in a secret weapon: gunpowder artillery. One of the cannons, nicknamed the Basilica, was so massive, it took hundreds of men and dozens of oxen just to move it. This thing could fire stone balls weighing over 500 kilograms. This was the first time in history that such technology was used on this scale, and it made all the difference. The siege began on April 6th, 1453. The Byzantine defenders, led by Emperor Constantine XI, were vastly outnumbered. Around 7,000 troops against Mehmed's army of 80,000. The Ottomans surrounded the city by land and sea, cutting off supplies and reinforcements. Day and night, Mehmed's cannons bombarded the walls. But the Byzantines weren't giving up easily. They used everything at their disposal: Greek fire, a flammable liquid that could burn even on water, and counter-tunnels to stop the Ottomans from digging underneath the walls. The defenders even tried to block the Golden Horn, a key waterway, by stretching a giant chain across it. Mehmed responded by dragging his ships overland to bypass the chain. But then, on May 29th, 1453, the inevitable happened. The Ottomans launched a final, massive assault. After weeks of constant pressure, the walls couldn't hold anymore. The defenders fought bravely, but they were outnumbered and overwhelmed. Sultan Mehmed's forces poured into the city, and chaos erupted. Streets that had been filled with life were suddenly engulfed in fire and blood. Let's pause for a moment and talk about Constantine XI. Emperor Constantine XI is said to have fought bravely, leading his troops in a desperate last stand. According to legend, he refused to flee and died fighting alongside his people. By midday, the Ottomans had taken control of the city. Once the city fell, the looting began. It was brutal. Homes were ransacked, people were killed or enslaved, and many of the city's treasures were lost forever. The Hagia Sophia, one of the most iconic buildings in history, was converted into a mosque. The city that had been a bastion of Christianity for centuries was now under Islamic rule. With the fall of Constantinople, Mehmed II declared it the new capital of the Ottoman Empire. He took the title Caesar of Rome, claiming to be the rightful heir to the Roman Empire. The city was renamed Istanbul and became a vibrant center of Islamic culture and Ottoman power. So, why does all of this matter? Why should we care about something that happened over 500 years ago? Historians often mark 1453 as the end of the medieval era and the start of the modern age. The fall of Constantinople was a turning point in history which saw the end of the Byzantine Empire, which had been a continuation of the Roman Empire in the East. It also marked the beginning of the Ottoman Empire's golden age. But that's not all. The fall had ripple effects that changed the world. For one, it cut off Europe's access to key trade routes in the East. With the Ottomans controlling key trade routes, European nations like Spain and Portugal started looking for alternative ways to reach Asia. This kicked off the age of exploration, leading to the discovery of the Americas and the beginning of globalization. And let's not forget the cultural impact. After the city fell, many Greek scholars fled westward, taking their knowledge and manuscripts with them. This influx of classical learning helped fuel the Renaissance in Europe, which, as we all know, was kind of a big deal. The fall of Constantinople also had religious and political consequences. It intensified the divide between Christianity and Islam, leading to centuries of conflict. It's one of those moments in history where you can draw a line and say, "Yep, the world changed here." The fall of Constantinople wasn't just the end of a city, it was the end of an era and the beginning of a new one. And it's a reminder that even the mightiest empires can fall. Even today, Istanbul remains one of the most fascinating cities in the world, a bridge between continents, cultures, and histories. Its story reminds us that the past is never truly gone. It's all around us, in the cities we build, the ideas we share, and the lessons we carry forward. So what do you think? Does this moment in history deserve all the hype it gets? Let me know in the comments. And hey, if you enjoyed this trip through time, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more content. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.